I'm at Decoy Lakes today. It's a beautiful series of lakes in Cambridgeshire near Whittlesey. And today I'm going to be talking about catching big fish on small baits. When you're on a commercial venue, the fish are a bit streetwise, and particularly at the start of your session, you need to be on small hooks, small baits. You'll be amazed the size of fish you're going to catch. So today I'm going to go through how to feed, how to keep the fish in your peg, how to hold the catapult, loose feed with the catapult. But I know I'm in for a great day. The secret is, in all sorts of fishing, getting the fish where you want them, getting the feed where you want it, so the fish are down, the big fish are down on the bottom. I've cupped in two big balls on the bottom, so I've got some feed down, then I'm loose feeding a little bit over the top. These fish don't come in easily. I'm loose feeding a little bit over the top, just to make a noise. If you think about it, fish are only attracted by noise. That's the only thing. Smell from a short distance, but if I'm feeding pellets, then those fish can hear those pellets going in from 20 or 30 metres away. You imagine that, and gradually throughout the day, as you keep feeding, more and more fish arrive. And that's the secret. You've got to create this competition. This is a good start. I'll probably be playing fish all day, won't I? I'm going to tell you exactly how to catch these big fish, and not just catch one in a day, to catch several. This one's really going now. Look, when you think about it, this is the pleasure of fishing, isn't it? This is the pleasure of fishing, is playing the fish. That's what we come out for. Fighting the fish. What a lovely way to start. This Decoy Lakes, I came here many years ago. This must be the first, probably the first ever commercial fishery in the country. I came up here 40 years ago, before this lake was built. Oh, that's a lovely fish. Beautiful looking fish too. Look at that. What about that for a great start? So the important thing is with light elastic that you've got the puller bung. You've got the puller bung, which helps you control the fish. You let the fish run, and then you can use the puller to tighten up the elastic, ready for netting. Light elastic. Why are you using lightish elastic? Well, 2.2 is fairly light. It's a hollow elastic. Probably be equivalent to about a number 12 in a solid. And a tiny hook. So small hook, small band, and you'd be amazed the size of fish you can catch. When you first hook a fish, feel the size of the fish before you ship back. Just feel how big is this fish? How big is it? Feel it. Play the fish on the full length of the pole. It gives you more control. So I'm playing the fish, and wear the fish out a little bit before you bring it in close. So, and enjoy what you're doing. So now I've got the fish under control, and now I can ship back. Taking care to ship back, where I can reach my puller bung. And that's the idea of a puller bung, is to use light elastic with a small hook, so you can get really big fish out on fine gear. The main line I'm using is 0.16, which is about, that's our rig line, about 5 pound breaking strain, and I've got a 0.14 hook length, which would be 3.5 pounds. So, but with that you can get double figure carp out. So with my right hand I'm holding the pole almost like a rod, and I can trap the elastic through the puller there. And if I want extra pressure, then I can use my left hand here just to give a bit more power on the fish. This fish feels really heavy, but I just can't get his head up yet. It's lovely. You just can't get the fish in. Bit more, but you can see I've not got much elastic out now. I've got the fish under control, under my feet. Just trying to get his head up. Don't worry about the landing net until you know that the fish is ready to be netted. Another lovely carp net. Just as it comes to the top, you can slip the net under it. And just, if you could see this hook that I'm using on here, you'd think, God, that's tiny. It is. There. Beautiful fish. Let's talk about feeding, how you would feed these fish. Now, I want to get something to the bottom, so I'm putting quite a good hard ball that I know will go straight down. It's a mixture of 2mm well soaked carp pellets, and I've put some 4mm in there as well, but I haven't soaked those. They'll just stick in, so I've got that one ball. I want to get something down. I'll explain that in a second. So I want to get a ball in the boom, plop in there. Then you've got to keep the fish there. So I'm loose feeding on the top. Ship out exactly on that ball. I know that there's something down now. And then I'm loose feeding over the top to make a noise. And that's really the important part of this fishing sequence. As the pellets go in and make the noise, that's the only thing you've got to attract fish. So, but of course what happens is that you get a lot of fish mid-water, and you've got to really watch your float for line bites, and any sideways movement of the float is always a line bite. So if your float goes at an angle one way or the other, don't strike. And in fact I don't strike, I just do a little lift. So I'm watching the float for movement, and I'll get little indications so I know there's fish there. When you're feeding with a catapult, what you have to do, you do everything in reverse. You trap, put your arm on the pole, and you hold the actual pole itself still, and you push the catapult forward. That's how you feed and get this lovely, really accurate. That noise, that choo, attracts the fish. But they're not always bites. When that float goes under, don't strike at everything. What you're looking for is just a fast bite. It goes straight down quickly. The fish is usually hooked itself because I'm on a banded pellet. But all I do is just lift, just a little lift into the fish. So I've fed again, I've put a couple of pouchfuls in, I've put a big ball on the bottom. I know there's some feed down there. Watching for the fish. You get little movements. Don't hit those small movements or drag unders. Just leave those. You're looking for a fast. And I'm fishing. You're looking for a fast. That was a sideways. The float went that way, then that way, dipped under. I'm fishing almost 10 centimetres over depth. It's a bit like, if you can imagine when you're on a method feeder, say a flatbed method feeder, your pellet's on the bottom, isn't it? Your pellet's about that much on the bottom. And it's the same with this. But I've cupped in a big ball, which would almost be like when you're fishing a method feeder to get your 2 meals on the bottom. And then I've just got a single pellet on the bottom. I have it quite a bit over depth. Don't try to hold your float. Water moves if there's wind on water. Just let your float move. Don't worry about that. Just make sure you're over your baited area. So you pick a marker on the far bank and you line up and keep on that area, the same area all the time. The float just went then, ignored that. But it went a bit faster, so I just lifted, just a little lift into it. If you strike really hard, you're likely to foul hook a fish. There's lots of big bodies down there on that feed, so if you do a big, hard, vicious strike, you'll just foul hook fish. So just a little lift now and again. If you get a bite, it's just sort of like that, just a little, hardly, you wouldn't call it a strike really, because the hook is completely free of bait. Now and again I'm tipping it with a caster. I haven't got a caster on at the moment, but sometimes I tip a caster on the hook with the pellet. That doesn't hurt, but at the moment I've just got a bare 4mm pellet on there. Float almost lifted there, and it will do, because if the line is on the body of a fish, you can imagine if the bulk shot, if the fish touch that, the float can lift. But that's not a lift bite, that's a line bite. And all the time just feeding to attract fish, get the fish in, get them competing. They'll come up for those pellets and then they'll drop back down on the bottom again. That was a faster bite, but it must have been a line bite because I didn't hit it. I just a careful lift into it. It's no good saying, oh, I missed that bite. It wouldn't have been a proper bite. It would have just been a line bite, of which there are plenty now. If you can think about how many big fish there probably are down there, it's so easy for a fish to brush against your line, because I'm feeding those pellets really tight. Let's have a look at the rig I'm using today, because I said it's small hooks, big fish, and there's the hook, which is a size 18, a hair rig band, and that little 4mm pellet on there. Sometimes I'm tipping it with a caster, but basically that's it, just a tiny bait. The hook length is 0.14, so that's about 3.5 pounds. And then I've done this little knot that I always use. It's called a 3-turn surgeon's knot, but you can use loop to loop, it's not a problem. And then just against that shot there's a number 8, one number 8 shot, just against that knot, that small knot. And then I've got a bulk. If you go up above there, I've got a bulk of 4 number 8. So that's, on this rig completely, is 5 number 8 shot. And always that bulk wants to be just, if I hold this shot on the knot, that distance always wants to be just a little bit more to the bulk. So that's shorter, the hook length is shorter than the bulk. And I've just split those shots a bit. So that's five number 8 shots, and a number 8 is 0.07. And if you say 5 times 0.07 is 0.35. So the float is a 0.35 float, 0.35 of a gram. The main line's 0.16, it's a Browning rig line, 0.16, about £5 breaking strain. The float itself is so important for these carp, because if you do hook one, if you do foul hook one, it roars off. And if the float isn't strong enough, you just destroy it. So there's the float. It's a DT, Dean Townsend F1 float. It's got a 2mm bristle, quite a nice thick bristle. I'm running the pellet is over depth and it's dragging on the bottom a bit as it moves, so you need a good high vis tip. The stem is a carbon, probably 0.07 I should think, but once again very robust. I've got 3 pieces of silicone on there. This float won't move easily. Once again, if you miss a fish, if you lose a fish, if this is not moving, if it's moving too easily, you just alters your depth. So that's fairly solid on there. It takes a lot to move that. And then up, we call this bit from the tip to the elastic itself is about, it doesn't matter too much. It doesn't have to be too fine. I'm probably about 15 inches, something like that. So just over a foot there. It doesn't have to be too tight, because the fish should hook themselves. It's not like as if you're fishing an expander pellet. The fish should hook themselves so you can have a little bit of line to your elastic, and then up to the elastic itself, which is a 2.2 Browning hybrid, and it really does stretch, but great if you're using a small hook for getting your fish in. Such big fish that you can hook, probably fish that you don't usually catch, but because you're on a small hook, on normal, got to shove this on again. That's incredible. Oh, this is a lovely fish. This is normal though. Just going to put that section on again. I've got another section there if the fish is really going. But because you've got a small hook on, because you've got fairly fine elastic, you just have to take a little bit of care when you're playing the fish, but I don't mind that. There's some fish, you just can't get them in. You think, oh, I can get that in as easy as it. No, you can't get it in. You saw those, if you've seen that small hook on the rig, an 18, how can you get carp of this size out on an 18 hook? Front hand here, left hand you can support if you want some extra support. But it's just fantastic. Just actually playing the fish is great. I'm putting this joint on again, going out again. So I can ship on, ship back. I've got this double roller, which is really secures the pole. This is real pleasure. The fish is fighting. What a fight that was on just that light gear. Oh, beautiful mirror. Yeah. So strong, these fish, unbelievable. Just ridiculous because you've got a big fish on. The elastic will stretch so that it gives the fish a bit of a chance, but I'm still putting a lot of pressure on this fish. It's just not easy to get in. Can you believe what size fish you can get out? Just think about it, these fish have all been caught before. We're on a commercial venue, so they see it all. So if you can keep your hook size down as small as possible, especially with a banded pellet, keep your hook size down as small as you can, and that makes a difference. Another lovely big common carp, this one. Just get it to the top, slip the net under it, and another lovely big fish to finish on. Oh. I wish you could see that hook in the fish's mouth. Let's have a look and see if you can see it. You won't believe what that's like. Just a little tiny hook inside that carp's mouth. Lovely looking fish, this one. Look at that. Small hooks, big fish. Small hooks, small bait, big fish. And lots of pleasure when you're actually doing it. What a lovely fish to finish on.